Everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 8 and see how this particular phone holds up in the middle part of 2024. Now, I probably wouldn't recommend any average person to go ahead and buy this particular iPhone anymore. It might make a little bit of sense or a little bit of tiny sense for some people to go and buy it if you really want to, because it's still on iOS 16. It's probably still going to be getting some security updates there. But for the average person, I probably wouldn't recommend buying it, and there's a lot of reasons as to why. So, first of all, from the beginning of this year to this point on, this phone has gotten a couple of improvements. It's gotten a couple of security updates here and there. So there's been a couple of things there that have been really, really cool with this particular phone. But beyond that, it's not anything super crazy. The body of this thing is still holding up, the same as it was before. You're still getting that 4.7-inch IPS panel on the front, which still looks great. I still think it, is good enough for the most part. As always, it's not the best thing in the world, but I think it gets the job done. And if you're trying to go through and use a phone on an everyday basis, this thing is not a terrible device from that particular standpoint. And I do think that in and of itself is a very, very cool thing. You have the home button, you have the lightning port at the bottom, curved sides a little bit, which tend to be fairly nice for the most part, which is again is a really, really nice thing going on for these particular phones. And I kind of do think for the most part, if you're going to go through, use a phone on an everyday basis, this device really isn't that bad. I do think for the most part, Apple did a good job with the exterior of this thing, the glass back, the front sides, everything around this phone still look and feel very, very good. So it's still something really nice that I like about this phone. Again, as I stated before, it's definitely not perfect or anything, but I definitely do think if you're going to go through and, if you're going to use a phone, this thing is definitely not a bad option by any means at all. So from the exterior, it's not a bad choice. It just so happens that kind of everything else around this phone I'm not the biggest fan of. So for one, with this particular device, you are kind of getting a phone that might be a little bit outdated in some ways. So when it comes down to the software side, this phone definitely isn't at its highest capacity as it was before. And as you probably would have guessed it, that is kind of one of the main issues that you're kind of going to be running into when you're getting a device like this. So with something like the iPhone 8, this device kind of has been outdated with software, for a little bit of time now. And as I mentioned before, that is kind of the issue. So, it did get iOS 16, which is only 2 versions behind technically, but it's not going to be getting any more versions of software beyond that. So if you're trying to go through and get a phone that's going to be lasting a longer period of time, this device really isn't going to be that for you. So take that as you will, but the software side of this phone really isn't going to be doing that great, especially when you look at something like the iPhones on iOS 18. Those devices are definitely going to be lasting for a longer period of time for sure. And like I mentioned before, that's kind of the problem that you're going to be kind of running into when you're getting these types of devices. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. From the performance, you're still getting the Apple A11 Bionic chip inside, which is not that terrible. It's still a fairly good performing chipset for the most part. Beyond that though, like I said before, there's a couple of other things that I look at this particular phone, and I kind of wish it could have been doing a better job here and there. But even then, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. And I do think for a lot of different, capabilities, this phone is good for a basic phone if you're trying to use it on a basic device. But if you're trying to go through and use it as an everyday phone for the next 4 or 5 years, this is not a phone I would recommend people to buy. This is a very, very kind of outdated device from that standpoint. And I would hate for you to go and buy this phone if you plan on using it for many years to come. So take that as you will. Like I said before, I think it's a good basic phone. Beyond that, I probably wouldn't recommend the average person to go and basically buy this phone anymore. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.